This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
Garrett, I know you're gonna cook the manual Forbes. I told you, you've got the manual.
What's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? It's your boy Rio Robinson, back with the latest and greatest on the Rambling with Rio YouTube channel, where we ramble about the Washington Commanders. Today is Thursday, August 8th, and Washington is 2 days away from its preseason debut up in New Jersey versus the New York Jets. We took place in joint practices with the Jets at Florham Park, New Jersey today at the Atlantic Jets training facility, and was not the sharpest performance at all by the Washington Commanders. I'm not going to hold you. It was ugly. We had to practice in a fucking monsoon, and just like the weather, Washington didn't exactly come with their sharpest bag versus the New York Jets today, and that's totally okay. We're not going to sit here and panic about it. We're not going to lose our minds because a better football team looked better than us in our first time practicing or seeing another opponent in the 2024 offseason. Well, season, offseason, whatever you want to call it. Washington was not sharp on the offensive side of the ball. Washington was not sharp on the defensive side of the ball. And to add insult to injury, the kickers were missing everything. Ramiz Ahmed was 2 of 5. Riley Patterson was 3 of 5. And Ahmed missed 3 in a row, and Riley Patterson missed his last 2 kicks. So it was one big collective effort of meh in New Jersey today. But let me tell you something. That's okay. It's a learning experience. What did we really expect? So to start on the offensive side of the ball, Washington went through practice today without starting left tackle Brandon Coleman, starting right guard Sam Cosmi, who only participated in individual drills, and starting right tackle so far, allegedly, Andrew Wiley. So Washington's starting offensive line consisted of Chris Paul and Trent Scott at tackle and Michael Dieter at guard. So before we jump to any conclusions about underperforming today, that was your starting offensive line. Me or you might have got pressure on this offense today. So not only is the weather bad, we know the weather can be bad in a game, so understandable. We were playing with a scab offensive line. 3 out of 5 offensive linemen were out. So it was never going to look pretty today based on everything I gathered from the Washington side of things. Linnell Willingham of 106.7, he got the most content and the most context about what was taking place on the field today. So let's look at his page. He had a video of Jayden Daniels reporting for his first bump against a different colored jersey. No pads for rookie Brandon Coleman. That's something we need to monitor at this point. I do not want to see Jayden on that field at MetLife Saturday with a scab offensive line versus that vaunted Jets defense. But it's supposed to be 80s and sunny on Saturday at afternoon time when Washington plays the Jets. So maybe we'll see a more closer to week 1 dock of offensive linemen. Johnny Newton in a hoodie and sweats. We're obviously keeping him on a pitch count in practice, saving him for the regular season. No Aaron Rodgers practicing, meaning a KG veteran who we're used to seeing. Tyrod Taylor last was with the Giants and beat us in a game last year. We know what that guy looks like, and we know practice is going to be held to a professional level when backup quarterback extraordinaires like Tyrod Taylor is running the show at practice. But based on what everybody was saying today, it was just off. All sides of the operation was off. Linnell said he's seen a few balls hit the ground versus air. The wide receiver room is under the microscope. How do they handle the elements? You know, when it's raining outside, you're paying attention to guys like De'Ami Brown who've had a tendency to drop passes over the years. But let's get to it. Oh, the Jets were doing a team stream. You remember last year when we went up to Baltimore to practice with the Ravens? They did a team stream. They covered most of practice. The stream was absolutely awful. the Jets covered all of practice for up to about 20 minutes. And it felt like as soon as Jayden Daniels rattled off a couple completions in 7-on-7, they cut the tape, they threw in, burnt away the tapes immediately. Didn't get to see the rest of practice, but obviously NFL teams are not going to just broadcast and live stream team drills. That shit was all of 25 minutes. You got to see a little bit of individuals and a couple Jayden Daniels completions before that tape was stopped immediately. So to start 7-on-7, if you were watching that stream, Jayden hits Zach Ertz on what looked like, I believe, a slant route over the front line of the defense. Perfect throw. Nice little diving catch by Zach Ertz. Tyrod Taylor to Garrett Wilson for a big gain over Benjamin St-Juste. Before we continue, I want everybody to know Garrett Wilson is an absolute dog. He's been in the league for 2 years and over 1,000 yards each, despite the fact that he's played with absolute dog shit at the quarterback position. He's pretty much a twitchier Terry McLaurin because he comes from Ohio State. He was a top 10 pick in the draft, unlike Terry, and he balls out despite the fact that he plays with a rotating, revolving door at the quarterback position. It should surprise nobody that Garrett Wilson is getting in Emmanuel Forbes shit in practice right now. If there's one thing we know on this team is that currently, as we sit here on August 8th, in year 2 of the Emmanuel Forbes experiment, he's not very good right now. He's not even listed as a starting cornerback on this team right now. So it should not shock any of you at home that Emmanuel Forbes is getting his shit dusted versus Garrett Wilson in practice. I don't think Emmanuel Forbes is going to start for this team this year, or at least right off the bat. That's going to have to be earned, and you can change the scenery. You can change the coaching staff. You can't change what's unfixable. And I don't know what's fixable with Emmanuel Forbes at this point because he's not a top 20 pick in the NFL draft. He shouldn't have been. He would have never been. We were the only team that was going to make that decision. But Garrett Wilson got in our ass today. I believe it was Connor Rogers who said he scored 2 touchdowns and had a big gain. He was just all over the field versus Washington today, which should surprise absolutely no one. That's what he does. I think he's going for 1,500 yards if he plays a complete season with Aaron Rodgers. But it's Garrett Wilson, guys. Like it's a really good wide receiver. This is not some scrub. Connor Hughes said he has already beat the defense for 2 touchdowns, a sliding first down grab, and now a long gain for another first down where he juked to pick up an extra 10 and was just throwing hands at a couple Jets players. You know what Garrett Wilson does. And speaking of throwing hands, I know I've been manifesting training camp practices because it's exciting for a fan to see. I don't think we got any real training camp skirmishes because, one, the weather's bad. Heat will definitely do it. When you put a bunch of athletes, you put a bunch of people outside in the heat, they're running around with these heavy-ass uniforms. The heat is usually what gets the guys. The heat, the intensity of practice, and doing multiple days going up against guys. Like they would say day 2 and day 3, inevitably there was going to be a fight happening. We're only getting 1 day with these guys at camp. So there wasn't time to build up the animosity or anything. You just had to get it in 1 day. Also, it's raining. Also, it was just getting in our ass today, man. So also, I seen Robert Saleh. Sauce Gardner came to the podium after practice. Shout out to Sauce Gardner. He said, yeah, we didn't want to find out what the ramifications were and the punishment was going to be if we got in a fight. Because Robert Saleh told him, if y'all start fighting in practice, if y'all go out there and embarrass me, you don't want to know what's going to happen afterwards. So he pretty much put it out to his team. Don't do that because you're going to have to deal with me afterwards. Bryson Tremaine, a name that we've heard all offseason, making plays in practice, had another 2 big catches today, one of which Linnell said he had a nice toe tap along the sideline for about 20 yards, had another bigger moderate gain later in practice as well. I think Bryson Tremaine is the name you're going to put next to De'Ami Brown because he's competing for his job, because there's a lot of roles to go around on the offensive side. We do not have a larger body possession receiver. The closest we have to that is De'Ami Brown. And if that's all we have, that's a job that can be taken. That's a job that's up for grabs, and Bryson Tremaine may be ready to corral that position. De'Ami had a really nice one-handed catch on a deep ball from Jayden. This was on 7-on-7s. De'Ami Brown's having a good camp as well. I'm excited to see who performs in these preseason games out of Bryson Tremaine and De'Ami Brown. But De'Ami Brown obviously is higher in the pecking order. But that catch was nice. There was a video of that. I played that earlier on the show. Washington's kick returners have had difficulty catching the ball. So the offense struggled. The defense struggled. The kickers struggle. The kick returners are dropping kicks. It's just a bad day of practice. It's ugly as shit outside. It's a fucking monsoon. Guys are out. Guys are getting their first real bump versus another team. And this is a team that is way better than the 7 wins that they showed last year. This is a playoff team we're practicing again. The only reason they weren't in the playoffs last year is because their quarterback position was worse than ours. So don't panic, guys. Also, I feel like it's a good time to mention we out-practiced the shit out of the Baltimore Ravens last year, and I believe all days of joint practice. We were there for a couple days, and we out-practiced them for all those days, and the season turned out to be absolute dreck. Meanwhile, Baltimore was 1 game away from the Super Bowl. So tread lightly on the panic. Tread lightly on the doom and gloom, melancholy bullshit I see going up and down the timeline on X today, and breathe. We're going to get another crack at them Saturday in preseason, but ultimately, this is just iron sharpening iron. We need the smoke. We need the bump. You thought it was bad watching Garrett Wilson? Wait till we go up to Miami next week and Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill take turns playing hot potato with Emmanuel Forbes. It's not going to look fun there either. These are better teams. These are contending teams. Relax. It's not going to look beautiful at all times. Trent Scott starting at right tackle. We got Cornelius Lucas at left tackle, who was switching in and out with Chris Paul, I believe somebody said. Washington's first team offense didn't get a yard in the first 11-on-11 session. Jayden was 0 for 1, tried to give, I'm guessing that's Terry, a chance on a fade ball. I don't know who Trey is. First team O-line struggled to get push in the run game. 3 runs held to a yard or less. 3 runs with Michael Dieter at guard. Don't panic, guys. Don't panic, guys. Nice to hear that Luvu and Armstrong got some good rushes out the way. Linnell talked about our pass rush. One of the few shining points of practice today was our edges were getting pressure. We were kind of getting bullied on the inside a little bit, but they're not giving it their all early. And they said when Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses, the starting tackles, were on the field, they were just getting great push, opening big holes for their running backs and giving Tyrod Taylor the time to sit back and find Garrett Wilson deep down the field. Garrett Wilson picking on Emmanuel Forbes. What's new? Luvu and Jordan McKee just leveled the starting tailback for the Jets. Nice to hear pads popping. Remember yesterday I brought up the pace of training camp has been a lot tamer than what's to be expected, but it's going to turn up when we get to joint practice versus the Jets and once these preseason games go. Cole Turner with a drop ball on a pass that was behind for Mariota. Cole Turner not beating the allegations as of right now. Haven't heard much of him during the training camp session. He's fighting for his life right now. Armani Rogers was released yesterday. Cole Turner has a long road ahead of him to make this roster with Zach Ertz, Ben Sinnott, and John Bates, the projected 3 tight ends on the final 53. Linnell, this is worrisome, more so than him just getting beat by better players thing. Emmanuel Forbes was beating coverage, and instead of trying to recover, he puts his head down and jogs as the receiver catches the ball deep. His morale and his confidence is still shattered. He may not ever be able to pick it up from how bad it looked last year. And another Jayden Daniels update. Jayden, 4 for 7, 15 yards and a fumble. He's looked out of sync to this point, which is hard to judge because the interior pressure and the pressure off the edge. He's been late and holding the ball for a little bit. Rookie shit. Good test for him. Don't panic. First time versus a new defense. Don't panic. It's rookie shit. It's rookie shit, guys. You know, I hate a preseason or training camp stat line, but I like the context that Linnell is giving us about practice today. Another good rush from Dorrance Armstrong. Would have had a sack. Love to see it. That will be one of our starting edge rushers. That was one of our primary targets in free agency. He reiterated again that it's a monsoon out there. Now we got Chris Paul, who's a guard for us now, and Trent Scott coming out with the first team at tackles. What good did we expect coming with those guys at tackles and Michael Dieter at guard, who's playing center for us? Bryson Tremaine getting first team reps along with Olamide Zaccheaus, who we have marked down right now as our starting slot receiver. Nice ball from Jayden to Terry on an out route. Love to hear that. And we're about to move over to the Jets coverage because I wanted to look at from a Washington lens and from a Jets lens what the difference with the juxtaposition of coverage was like. Some of the guys who got more updates than others. Nice ball from Jayden to Terry on an out route. I think this was Jayden's best ball today. What you want to hear is that Jayden grow from period to period, from throw to throw, and completely struggled the first time they came out in 11s. Jayden comes out 3 for 3 to start the next period. The ball is out and it's on time. Nothing deep, but you love to hear the quarterback getting in a rhythm and finding and picking his spots versus the defense. And then the defense gets back on the field. Emmanuel Forbes had a pass breakup on Garrett Wilson, so progress. Something positive on the Emmanuel Forbes front. You just can't beat the allegations when a 9-year-old kid is screaming, Garrett Wilson, he's going to cook Emmanuel Forbes. And then on the exact play, he gets cooked by Garrett Wilson. When a 9-year-old kid is calling that shit out and the check is getting cashed immediately, it's not a good time for you, my boy. We're rooting for something to improve, but I don't have much confidence in Emmanuel Forbes. But I'm not basing that on this practice. It's on what I already believe about the player, but we move on. First team offense back out for the final drive of the day. 0 for 2 start for Jayden. CJ Mosley punched out a ball to Zach Ertz, and Jayden sailed one to Terry McLaurin. Diami, per usual, once preseason games start, Diami starts dropping shit. It's been a yearly tradition since he got drafted here. Diami had a drop on a nice ball from Jayden Daniels. A little bit inside, but very catchable. Catch the ball, sir. You are a professional wide receiver. Ertz with a catch in triple coverage. Play was blown dead because Chris Paul jumped offside, so that throw wouldn't even have happened. But it's nice to see Jayden find his security blanket tight end, Zach Ertz. I don't like the triple coverage thing, but as long as the ball was completed, I'm not tripping on that. I don't like the tackle combination of Chris Paul and Trent Scott, so do what you will with that information. Jayden finished the day 7 of 15, mostly checkdowns and screens, 25 yards max. It was not a good day by the offense, but we live, we learn, and we do not panic. Rookie's gonna rook, and in a monsoon behind a scab line, we're not gonna sit here and shit on Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels had a phenomenal summer. He will learn from this. I love to hear that he did get better as the practice went on. And Sauce Gardner came to the podium after practice and said, oh, that boy's going to be good. That boy going to be nice over there, number 5 for Washington. Javonte Jean-Baptiste flashed on the edge today, a late round pick showing something. Love to see it. Luke McCaffrey, the always forgotten one in the wide receiver conversation, had a nice couple of catches today. And tight end Ben Sinnott. Love to hear the rookies making an impact. All right, so in totality, Linnell says, mixed bag practice overall. Defense had some nice rushes. Offense was dreadful. O-line depth is a major problem. The caveat is no Sam Cosmi, Brandon Coleman, or Andrew Wiley. Not very good in pass protection. Did not get much push in the run game. So the O, ass today. The defense, ass today. The kick returners and the kickers, ass today. It's not too much to take from that. We had a bad day of practice, y'all. The better team got the best of us on this day. We push on. We keep it moving. And let's look at the Jet side of coverage. I seen Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic. He was out there covering practice today. Very rainy joint practice, as we all knew. Rodgers didn't practice, which I hate, but I did see that they said Jayden Daniels and Rodgers were catching up and speaking for a little bit. Love that. Take anything you can from Aaron Rodgers. That is one of the GOATs of our game. And as weird as he can be, that is someone I want Jayden Daniels soaking all information up from. Probably didn't give him too much, though, which reminded me back in 2014, I believe, we did joint practices with the New England Patriots, and Robert tried to pick the brain of Tom Brady, and Brady gave him the most to the point, very minute advice. And he pretty much said, yeah, I can give you advice when I retire, but yeah, I'm not putting you on game while I'm still in the league, respectfully. But love to hear Jayden and Rodgers got some time to talk to each other. But going to practice, let's see the Jet side of things. Tyrod Taylor with a beautiful throw in the Garrett Wilson's breadbasket down the field, beat BSJ. So it was not just Forbes starting cornerback, the French Canadian St. Juice. He got some of this work too. Obviously, there was smoke to go around for all Washington corners. We had no answer for Garrett Wilson. We all knew that was coming. Tyron Smith, who's missed a lot of time in training camp so far, he participated in team drills. Breece Hall, he was getting it in. They was opening up holes for him. Ex-Jet, because Frankie Louvu was a Jet before he was a Panther. Got around Tyron Smith on a blitz to force a Tyrod Taylor throwaway. Frankie Louvu is going to be one of our shining lights this season. He's a free agent that got more than a one-year deal. He's someone we believe is going to be one of the leaders of our defense. Nice to hear that we're using him as more than a linebacker, because that is a guy who's had 7 sacks in a season before. That is a guy who's capable of consistently getting to the quarterback. The Tyrod Taylor, Garrett Wilson chemistry buzzing. We know what Tyrod does. Tyrod's going to always keep things professional. This is not a Zach Wilson situation for the Jets anymore. They actually have a solid backup. They have a team that's not going to crumble and absolutely bottom out if Rodgers misses time again. I hate to hear that they're building chemistry, but it is what it is. He burned Emmanuel Forbes and got hit for a 50 to 60-yard completion. Just boom, 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 shot after shot. They're just hitting Emmanuel Forbes with a flurry of combinations, and there's nothing the guy can do about it. Emmanuel Forbes got into it with Breece Hall, got a little shoving match. That's about it, though. There were no more fighting. There was no more skirmishes. None of what we saw in Giants versus Lions training camp. So none of our rookies got a 4-piece combination with the fries in the bag like Malik Neighbors got. The common theme going around practice is it was pouring all day. Even the rain cannot stop Allen Lazard. Great sliding catch. It just didn't feel like we just had a bad day, guys. We didn't do much today. So in a 2-minute drill, the Jets offense was struggling versus our defense. There was an incomplete pass to Allen Lazard. There was an incomplete again to Allen Lazard. Tyler Conklin had a nice catch for 8 yards. A short catch for a first down from Allen Lazard. Complete to Garrett Wilson for a short game. Completion down the field to Garrett Wilson, and that was all on Emmanuel Forbes. But it is what it is, man. The secondary was dominating today for the Jets. Sauce Gardner was dancing on dudes, doing pass breakups. This is how our offense fared versus the Jets in the 2-minute drill. Jayden threw an incompletion, another incompletion with DJ Reed in coverage. Terry dropped the pass versus Sauce Gardner. Ertz won a 50-50 Paul on the play that we earlier spoke about where Chris Paul was false starting. Sauce Gardner with a pass breakup, drive over. This is a top 5 defense in the league. If you thought we were going to come out here and play bully ball and walk and waltz up and down the field on the New York Jets, I don't know what to tell you, my guy. I don't know what to tell you. Malachi Corley got open and made a great catch. Their rookie wide receiver. Robert Saleh, speaking on Aaron Rodgers, said, I just felt like it was unnecessary and I did not want to expose him to it. But that is joint practice in a nutshell when it comes to Washington versus the Jets. We're going to see this same team on Saturday and what should be 80s and sunny. There's not too much more information you're going to get from today because it was rainy. We couldn't open it up like we wanted to. We couldn't get things going like we wanted to. Rookie quarterback, 3-scab O-lineman. First time with game speed versus a better football team. It is all right. We dominated versus the Ravens in joint practices and was absolute ass juice for the season last year. I want Washington Nation to sit back, breathe, relax. We move on to the preseason game on Saturday. Keep it pushing. It's not going to look beautiful every day. And we need to keep in mind this is year one of a brand new organization. Brand new everything. Everything is brand new, guys. Keep in mind, I know expectations are starting to grow higher about how high the floor could be in year one, but this is a new operation. This Jets team has played together for a couple years now. They have an identity set by their head coach, Robert Saleh. This is a team that's played together. 13 new starters over here, 23 new players. Relax. We move on to Saturday. I'll be looking forward to our preseason game at 12 noon up at MetLife Stadium. Please, God, don't let it rain on that awful playing surface. The first thing and only thing that matters is bringing our guys back to Ashburn healthy. That's all I got for right now. Until next time, hail to the Washington Commanders. And if you're going to bet on the preseason game Saturday versus the New York Jets, do it with BetUS Sportsbook and Casino, home of the fastest payouts in the industry and up to a 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits for up to $2,000. If you're going to wager on any Washington Commanders game or anything going forward, do it with Bet Sportsbook and Casino. Until next time, Commander Rio, out.
Michael Vick here at BetUS.com. Get it all. Huge bonuses, great odds, a race book, live in-game betting, and a casino. BetUS, my online sports book and casino.